How do
Hello.
you respond when you realize that you're wrong?
I think it depends on the kind of person you are. Because I'm a very self-aware person, I can kind of understand and see a situation and recognize when I'm wrong. But I react to how I'm wrong. I'll just look back at the situation, think about what I could have done differently, or try to just, go back and actually reflect on what happened.
Give an example of something you've been wrong about.
Something I've been wrong about is, I actually stopped myself from doing this. So, cookies for me, but I was thinking of saying something that was kind of a manipulation tactic. I was like gonna be like, oh, well, I did this because, I wanted to, or something of that nature. But I realized that was just trying to manipulate the other person's emotions and feelings, and I just didn't do that.
Why do you think that you came to a wrong conclusion?
That is a very hard question. Huh. I think that I came to a wrong conclusion because it was just kind of subconscious. Our behaviors are subconscious, and yeah.
How did you learn that you were wrong?
I learned that I was wrong by just kind of taking a moment to step back and think about my actions before I actually say them and speak. So I've realized that this actually isn't right because I'm not saying this from like my heart and how I actually feel. I'm saying it from a place of trying to get a reaction or manipulate the other person.
What did it feel like to be wrong?
It felt very strange in the sense that it was like, oh, like I can also be wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, just kind of have to take a step back and be like, this is something that you can do. I would say for sure treating like racial issues as an everyday kind of like just topic conversation, because I think a lot of people have struggle and like just talking about race, they kind of get uncomfortable and unwilling to talk about race. But if we treat it as everyday conversations, then we can have more of these conversations will can actually lead to something changing or something being better developed.
What is the reason why this specific social issue causes difficulty in changing our viewpoints?
I think it's because people are just unwilling to like be comfortable speaking out about things that are kind of controversial.
So implicit bias is bias that we make unconsciously but still affects our judgment. So what role does implicit bias play in our ability to change our perspectives?
Absolutely, that's a really good question. I think we kind of just have to do unworking and like fundamentally understanding why we act a certain way and recognizing that our biases do come from indoctrination of like the media and like our own personal events and experiences. And when we take the time to look back on our past situations and our experiences and be like, hey, that could have been my implicit bias working against something positive. So let me try to lead to the positive.
What role do you think tribalism plays in our ability to adjust or change our perspectives?
I think tribalism would make it hard to change our perspective because when we're a group of people that have the same, experiences or perspectives that we do, it's kind of hard to break free from our previous thought and change. So I think it would make it more difficult.
How do you respond when you realize that you're wrong?
So for me, I feel like I get a little uncomfortable because I feel like I know a lot of different topics, subjects. Um, so I feel upset about it. There was a time where I was wrong about something, and that's not very specific, but I was wrong about something, and I had somebody correct me. But the way that they did it wasn't like a good way to go about correcting someone else. They weren't very like nice about it. They were like, "Hey, you're wrong," and that made me feel like awkward and like, man, am I dumb? Like that's like it was a weird way to go about it.
How did you learn that you were wrong?
Because someone told me they corrected my issue. They were like, they were like kind of rude about it. They told me like straight up that I was wrong about it. They were like, no, this is the actual situation, and like you're doing this wrong completely. And I was like, oh man.
And how did you say that made you feel being wrong?
It made me feel like my hard work was put like for nothing basically. And it made me feel a little awkward, and, like bad about myself.
What is a social issue that you feel is most difficult for others to adjust to or change their minds?
I feel like it could either be political standpoints or like racial issues.
What is the reason why this specific social issue causes difficulty in changing our viewpoints?
Well, everyone has such like strong standpoints on political issues and like political standpoints in general, so Democratic or Republican. And it's rooted from family, so it causes people to want to stick with it. They want to be conforming with their family, which finds it like sometimes it's a little difficult. Sometimes people don't agree on stuff, which is fine, but
What role does implicit bias play in our ability to change our perspectives?
just basically what you've been fed or told your whole life is what you're going to believe. Seeking like education or knowledge about that specific thing can help, but if not, then you're going to be stuck in the situation that you've been told.
What role do you think tribalism plays in our ability to change our perspectives?
Everybody wants to be accepted in some sort of form or fashion with a group of people that they feel relate to them. So I feel like it's hard to break away and branch out to other things that aren't necessarily what you grew up with or things you're comfortable with, because you view people as so different from you, when in reality that could be like your best friend. So it'll definitely give you strong standpoints on types of people. It's a lot harder for you to figure out where to go in your life, but it just forms you as a person.